Merry Christmas, Merry New Year, Sunlit Philog. My name is Kunal Narwani and welcome back to the teacher turned actor journey. Now, because we're in the UK, it is customary to talk about the weather. It's cold. And I'm kidding, no. It's been cold, it's been windy, it's been raining, and it's been windy and raining at the same time. Does that grammatically make sense? I don't know. And I saw snow for the first time. Okay, well, it's baby snow, which hopefully you'll see it over here. You'll see the footprints of people and the Yeti. But I know it's not actual snow. It's you get my point. Moving on. People were concerned about Jeffrey. Jeffrey's fine. Jeffrey's growing. We say hi to Jeffrey. Hi, Jeffrey. Although a bit of Jeffrey is... Injuries happen, you know? And this is the plant version of an injury. It's not my fault. I've been taking care of the plant, I promise. It's been a month and he's still fine. You get me? Now, I haven't done like a review video in quite a while, a month to be exact. And I'll address why it's been that way. I have made videos, but, well, I made two videos. One on The Rock, one on my first paid role. But things have been taking place and we'll break down what happened later. Now, as you can imagine, a month is a lot of content. Not exactly. A month has a lot of events. No. Many events take place in a month. That makes more sense. And in that way, I would have a lot more content to share. Therefore, there we go. Things are making sense again. We're going to break apart the video into 3 or 4 parts. That way, you guys can stay tuned and, you know, the attention span of the human race is questionable. So, today we're going to talk about, and as always, my lovely computer is going to help me because I have goldfish memory. Not that you need to, I don't know, excuse the pause, just go with it. You know what I mean? Just go with it. All right, so we're gonna get into the acting journey part of things. Seriously, the title should be here too. All right, now we're gonna break apart into stay in school, kids. This way you can practice English. The first thing we're gonna talk about is, we have talked about meeting The Rock and Jingle All the Sleigh, where I was an elf. So we can move on from that, but those were eventful events, so that's what I'm mentioning one more time. The second thing we're going to talk about is I worked as an extra. So that was the next big, relatively big, okay? I'm still in the journey, so everything I do is basically big for me. Cut me some slack. Anyway, it's this movie called We Are the Things We Lost, and the filming was taking place, there we go, in Hayes. It's actually near Southall, so people know Southall, so Hayes is like a bit further away than Southall. Anyway, and it was a pretty cool experience. My highlight for that day in particular was the people that I got to speak to, because a lot of them, no, in fact, every one of them was really nice. And it's hard to find nice people. Okay, I'm not saying like people in the UK are mean. They're not. They're nice. But I think that day in particular, it showed me various examples of really cool people, both that were working as extras, the main characters, the crew members, the director himself as well. Very genuine people. I was able to make some good connections and I hope to, well, essentially hang out with them, right? Make some connections. That's how things go. That's how you do networking. And the other cool thing about that was that people who work with different crew members hear different stories about film actors and things that happen. But I'm gonna gatekeep that, at least for now. Some things you don't want to know. Even though you do want to know, you just shouldn't know. I should move on. Anyway, so all day I was basically there, and I was I kind of give away the plot of the movie, but I was essentially in a set which was formatted as a hospital. I was going to say police station, I don't know why, as a hospital. And so I was just basically working as extra. I was in the background, and it was cool. There was one shot, hopefully it's over here, that I took, which I thought was kind of nice. It's just like me and the actual, it was me and the monitor of what the camera was showcasing. So anyway, that's just me being a nerd. Now, the fourth thing I want to talk about is the content day for the, I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm going to mention it anyway. It was a, whoa, I'm forgetting. It's essentially like this work. Okay, it's for this accounting firm called Accounted, and they wanted some actors to basically be like the. Whoa. I don't know if you guys hear my burps. If you do, I apologize. I'm not gonna cut it out. But yeah, it was basically me being a content representative, and we did like I think 3 videos per person. There were like 3 other people that were doing it. So yeah, that was the first day, and potentially do this a couple more times, see how it goes. But I think the next content day is going to be in a week, maybe not next Tuesday, but like the next. Anyway, you don't need to know that. Or the specificities, the details. The next thing I'm going to talk about is callbacks. Now, I'm going to break this down into 2 parts. So number 1 is pre-screen videos, and then callback / self-tape audition videos. So I spent a lot of time making videos for roles that require a pre-screen video, and those usually come with a particular script that you have to basically act out, and that's your, I would say, stage 1 audition. In some cases, you have to take another video as a second stage audition, or you just give your regular profile, and then they call you back, be like, hey, we like your profile, can you now do the scene? And that's what you have to do. So that's the second stage, right? Or in other words, the callback stage. And if they like you from there, then good for you. You get to go and be a part of the film, or the well, whatever you go for, right? Essentially, I've had a couple of those in the past month, as you can imagine, and I don't want to get too deep into this just yet because I will talk about this later. But I just haven't had much going on in terms of like big roles, or maybe profile making roles. You know what I mean? It's just staying on the grind, basically. So anyway, I'll get into that later. What I'm also going to talk about is the improv classes have ended. Well, they actually ended way back, like in the first week of December, and afterwards we all hung out at a pub, as you do, and it was great. It was a good time. Got to meet some really cool people, made some really good friends. One of my, I guess I can say now, one of my closest friends in the UK came from that improv class, and I want to talk about the last class that we had. I'm not going to give, obviously I'm not going to give names whatsoever. I might sound a bit devious when I talk about this, but my friend and I, we wanted to work with a particular person in a scene together, in an improv scene, obviously, just because I think there are some people you have an interesting synergy with, and the way that person acts and the way we act, we're like, we could make something really interesting happen. And thankfully, the 3 of us got to work in a scene at the last class, and I kid you not, it was like everything turned out perfect, and it ended exactly the way we wanted. See my excitement? Anyway, and it just ended in the perfect way, and we were so happy that we got to do it. Yeah, it's one of those things where you had to kind of be there, but we were quite proud of what happened. So yeah, I'm gonna miss those improv classes. But speaking of improv classes, I'm going to start my MN Academy classes tomorrow. Now, if you're watching this not today, which is probably for most people, it's on the Tuesday this week. the 7th of January. Anyway, now I actually will also start talking about some. I'm gonna call it my film and TV highlights, and as you can imagine, I'm interested in watching a lot of shows and movies, so I do spend quite a lot of time watching movies and shows. And I think I want to start like maybe not like a series, but essentially dedicate some videos on just talking about either a movie or a show that I watch, and yeah, make it a thing. You know what I mean? So two main highlights I'm going to talk about is, number one, the positive highlight is Squid Game Season 2. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just saying that I have watched it and I love it. A lot of people are quite angry at Season 2 because it didn't go the way they wanted it to. And I think they wanted it to go something like Season 1. But then maybe the same people or other people will just be like, oh, it's just the same thing as Season 1. It's just the same, like the same structure, same deaths and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And here they're like, oh, we wanted more. We wanted more deaths and stuff like that. That's not really a spoiler. You can imagine deaths happening. But anyway, so it's just you can never have everybody happy with the way things go, right? So I was really happy with the way Season 2 went because I think it set up Season 3 perfectly, and it's a perfect segue or transition from Season 1 to Season 3. And Season 2 on itself is also really good because it developed, or rather it focused on a lot of story development, which I think was done really, really incredibly. And it's like building a world, right? Season 3, it's going to be some, you know, not over the top, that sounds a bit negative. It's going to be this bombastic end of the show, and we're all going to have like a really good time. So be patient, people. Now, a low light, get it, highlight low, sorry, is this show called Bad Education. And I kept it as Bad Education, nah. In other words, no, I don't really like it. I understand where the comedy is coming from. It's an English show, and I don't want to bash on the show. Not like people who watch this will really care about my opinions. But anyway, it just wasn't. I think it was way too forced. I think it was trying too hard, and yeah, I don't recommend it. It's 3 seasons. I don't even recommend watching 3 episodes. No offense. I'm also currently watching The Office US. Finally, a lot of people have told me to watch it. A really good friend of mine has been, you know, pushing me to watch it for a long time, and he's very happy now. And I'm in season 5 or 6, I think, just in season 6, and it's honestly, yeah, I don't know why I took so long to watch it. It's really, really entertaining. Good comedy. It's stupid. It's so you actually get physically frustrated at some of the characters. You're still hooked though. So, all right. I don't want to spend too much time in the next one because so the next 3 things I want to talk about kind of like segueing into each other. So the next thing I want to talk about is the mixing network that I attended sometime in the 2nd week of December, and this was thanks to a friend of mine who told me about this, and I was like super grateful. The event, I don't know if you heard that burp. I should end up doing like a burp counter as well. I'm kidding. We were not going to do that. I'll just end up forcing burp. I digress. So it was this mixing network that was organized at this place called the Simmons Bar, somewhere like Soho. And it was a great event. It was cool. Met a lot of interesting people, spoke to a lot of interesting people. For whatever reason, there was like a Bulgarian community, apparently by accident, but yeah, there's a Bulgarian community over here, just specifically in acting. Interesting. And yeah, spoke to really cool people. And I think during the event, what I started to realize was, I think I felt a pretty deep sense of imposter syndrome, and trying to get out of that took a while. And I think it's really frustrating. So that's the first thing that I will be talking about in a minute. But it ties into the next thing I want to talk about as well. So obviously, if you've been keeping up with my videos, you know that I worked at, or I got my job at Pure Pet Food, which is working as an ambassador, and you make money based on sales. And my goal initially was to kind of work there and meet actors, right? To meet people in the industry. So the first time I went I went to Windsor, no, what's it called? Royal Windsor Racecourse, which is in Windsor area. I could be wrong, I forget. And the person I worked with that day, super cool person, really good person. I'm repeating myself. Had a great time there though. And then after, I want to say 2.5 weeks, I did 3 days in a row. 2 days at Ruislip and then 1 day at Bournemouth. And within that 3-day stretch, my goals did not outweigh my reasons for ending my time at Pure Pet Food as an ambassador. I should say it has nothing to do with the company itself. I think it's more to do with the structure. No, not even the structure. It's more to do with my approach to the work and what I was hoping to get out of it, and then what I did get out of it, right? So it's like the expectation versus reality. When I was working at Bournemouth, which was the 3rd day, or rather I should say the last day of the 3 day in a row, I was on my own for 9 hours. And keep in mind, Bournemouth is 3 hours away from where I live. It's almost like I'm going to my brother's house. Yeah, it's quite far. And one of my main goals was to meet people in the industry, right? That was one of my biggest goals. But then to work on my own, and then on top of that, I wasn't really making any sales, and that was kind of like eating away in my head. And then again, I was by myself, and so my motivation just plummeted. And it was a pretty unique experience, because I don't think my motivation has ever plummeted that much that quickly, especially at a job. I consider myself a pretty responsible person. I went into such a mindset where I was like thinking about just kind of like ending my shift. Well, not like I had a choice, but ending my shift early, be like, hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm out. That's where I kind of was at. So the reason I said I wanted to talk about these things kind of like intertwined, because the imposter syndrome, and then the plummeting of my motivation kind of was, I think I was internalizing it into who I was or who I am. So like putting an identity onto myself as what I understood from these two events, right? And it's really, really unnecessary. A lot of this is due to maybe outside forces, which you can control. And then some reasons could really just be overanalyzing the situation and trying to do more than I needed to do. So in terms of the imposter syndrome, maybe I was feeling that way because I kept thinking about needing to stand out, but then I don't need to stand out. I just need to like meet people and let them stand out. You know what I mean? With Pure Pet Food, in 3 days in a row, I think, again, I did work with really nice people. Like the 3 days that I did work with somebody, they're really nice people. And I'm sure we'll find a way to stay in touch. But then the time it takes, the traveling, and then within that time, the things I don't get to do, put all those things together, it just doesn't, it's not worth it. Or at least at the moment, it doesn't feel like it's worth it. So if I could make a structure where I do this like once in 2 weeks or once in 3 weeks, it might be better. But yeah, it's something I'll probably get back into later on. So yeah. And finally, another reason why it took me so long to kind of like do a review, I think I was going through like a mental block. Christmas, obviously, as well. Spent some time with family, so that also ate some time up. But even though I was with family, I could have like, spent some time, be like, hey, I'm just gonna make a video, blah, blah, blah. The gist. But I didn't, because there was like a mental block going on. And I don't know, please don't hate me for saying this, but maybe it's just the weather. But apparently it's a thing. So a friend of mine said that there's this syndrome, syndrome, yeah, called SAD, SAD, seasonal something depression. I was like, nah, that can't be real. And maybe I was spoiled by Hong Kong, so I was always quite like, upbeat in most cases. And then the lack of sunlight hit, and I was like, maybe it is. I was trying to fight it, but maybe I didn't do a good enough job of fighting it. So then here we are. However, that being said, we are going to get better at this, and I have started taking vitamin D pills. Yes, it's come to that, but it's not a bad thing. You know, you do what you need to do to keep yourself going. So yeah, vitamin D pills and doing more things around keeping myself upbeat and, you know, catching myself when I spiral. So that's quite important. If you go through like spiraling days, you have to catch yourself from spiraling, or knowing when you are going to start to spiral and try to like break that. And hopefully eventually you get to find ways to kind of like work around it. I haven't figured that out completely just yet. I do know that the gym helps. So that's my advice. Try and go to the gym, go for walks. Actually, if you go for a walk, and even though there's no sun, but then you're outside, you're outdoors, it actually might help a lot too. So that's another advice, I guess. Not professional, don't come at me. I'm just giving you suggestions from my own experience. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's what it's been like in the past month or so. So to put everything together, again, I don't know how long this video went, hopefully not too long. Please continue watching this video till the end. If you're already till here, then thank you. But I'm gonna end it over there, okay? I wanna say, oh, actually, I need to also mention that it is 2025, which means that goals have been set. And not that I wanna sound like somebody who's trying to fight against the grain, but I don't have New Year's resolutions, but goals that I have made that I have to make, and not because it's the new year, but maybe it's like the new year kind of gives you like a little bit of a boost, which is cool. But I'll do a proper video on this sometime later to properly talk about what it means to set goals at whatever point. You might set New Year's resolution. You can also set it's a hard way to sentence this. Basically what I'm trying to say is, like, you know, after every birthday, you want to set goals too, because it's your new year. You know what I mean? It's a new year for you. This is just a calendar new year, which was also just kind of, you know, set. I digress. So we're gonna say goodbye to Jeffrey. We're gonna see him again later on. And as you can see, although there is some level of internal heating, you want to stay warm because, again, it's cold. And I go back to the weather. Anyway, as always, like, comment, subscribe, please, share, and oh, by share, I mean the YouTube channel, but also the IG page. And I just want to say thank you for all your support. And with that, the video ends. Take care, stay safe. I clapped too early. And goodbye, my people.